Hi guys, this morning we're here to help you to understand your home insurance and why is it important to have it. Along with me is Tamara. She'll explain to us the importance of home insurance and what the average clause means and why it's important that you know what it is. Tamara, why is it important to have a home insurance?
That's a great question, Colesha. Actually, our home is one of our most valuable assets. Most persons, they may not have a motor car, but they do have a home. And so because it is an important asset, it makes sense to protect it. One way of protecting it is actually by purchasing home insurance. So what does home insurance cover? Why should I purchase it? Home insurance covers you from perils such as flood, earthquake, hurricane, fire, and we are in hurricane season, so you can guess the importance of having home insurance.
All right, that's great. So before I get home insurance, do I need to value the property? Because I hear that valuation is expensive for house insurance. So do I need to have that before I can insure my house?
It is actually advisable that you have a valuation, but if you don't have it, you can provide the insurance company with your best value of the home.
All right. Why is the valuation important? Why is it so important to have?
That's also a great question. The valuation is very important to have because in the event of a claim, what the insurers will use in calculating how much they should pay out to you is the replacement value. So when you do a valuation, you're likely to be insuring your home for the correct replacement value of that home.
So you're telling me, so if I buy my house for $10 million, the replacement value won't necessarily be $10 million. So we need to know what that is, hence the valuation report, right?
Absolutely. You could purchase it for $10 million, which is the sale price, but in reality, it could actually be worth $20 million. So what that means, in the event you have a claim, there's a loss. Let's forget about a claim for a minute. In the event you suffer a total loss, let's say there's fire. What would happen is that even though you purchased that house for $10 million, the cost to replace it is $20 million.
All right, understood. All right, so tell us about average clause. What is average clause? What does it mean? Why is it important for us to know?
The average clause is very, very important. And the reason why is because it impacts how your claim is settled at the time of either total loss or a partial loss. You know, there's some damage, but parts of the building is still there. And the average clause actually applies when your property is undervalued or underinsured. It does affect how much your insurance company will pay out to you at the time of a claim.
Okay. So I guess in that case, it's very important to be open and honest so that you're not affected by the average clause.
Yes, and I can go a little further to explain to you about the average clause. So every property that is insured in Jamaica, that policy is subject to the pro rata condition of average. So it is actually a legal requirement. So insurers have to put that notice to alert the customer that the policy is subject to this clause. And so by doing so, the insurance company is bringing to the attention of the proposer, that is the person who's going to insure the property, the importance of making sure that the value that they're insuring the property for is actually the replacement value or current value of the property. And why this is so is that most times at the time of a claim, when an insurance company says to someone that, look, we're going to be paying you X amount, and that person becomes upset, then we have to highlight to them that, remember, would have brought this clause to your attention and explaining to you what it actually means. So for example, let's say you insure your home for $7 million, but at the time of a loss, let's say it's partial damage, the current replacement value of your home is $10 million and your claim is for $5 million. So your repairer comes in and say, okay, the cost to repair your property is $5 million. You go to your insurance company and you give them that estimate. They look at the loss, they agree that it is $5 million. What we refer to it as when we're doing that calculation is did overshoot times the loss. Did what you insured your property for, so that is $7 million, what you should have insured it for, which is $10 million, because that's a current market value times the loss. So in this scenario, the gross payment would be $3.5 million. And this payment is subject to what we refer to as a catastrophe deductible and/or excess. So the ultimate payment that you'd be getting in this scenario would be $3,360,000 because your excess would be 2% of the sum insured. And remember, your sum insured was $7 million, so that is $140,000 that would be deducted from the $3.5 million. So that is in a scenario where your loss is less than the value and less than your sum insured. But you could also have another scenario where your loss is less than value but greater than the sum insured. So let us say, remember, our sum insured is $7 million. The current replacement value of your property, $10 million. And you come to us with an estimate for $8 million. So this is actually more than what you have insured the property for. So in this scenario, your final payment would be about $4.6 million. And the reason being is that, again, as we said, did over should times the loss. So we say 7 million divided by the 10 times your estimate, your loss of 8 million. And when we do that math, that gross would be about 5.6 million. And so that would be about 70% of your loss. So you realize we're averaging now because this is 70% that you'd be getting. And of course, we're gonna deduct from this the catastrophe excess. You could also have a scenario where your loss is equal to your value. So your loss is 7 million, your value is 7 million. In this scenario, your final payment would be 6,860,000 because we'll be paying you the 7 million less the excess.
All right.
Is that clear?
Understood. So you mentioned the word catastrophe quite a number of times when we're speaking, and deductible. Can you further explain that to me so I can better understand the whole deductible concept?
So all policies, the peril policies, so policy whether for your business or for your home coverage, it's subject to a catastrophe excess or deductible. And what that means is that each time there's a catastrophe, so let's say there's an earthquake, when you present, even before you present a claim, you are responsible for that first 2%, and that's calculated on your sum insured. So immediately, as we spoke earlier about the value being 7 million, that 2% would be 140,000. So that's a portion that you self-insured. So it's not covered under your insurance policy. Any claim payment is going to be less that. And if you make a claim that is less than the catastrophe deductible or catastrophe excess, then there would be no payment coming to you from your policy because you are self-insured. That's a portion that you are responsible for.
Okay, all right, I understand that now. So are there any other benefits under the home insurance coverage that we should know about that might not be out there for everybody? You have to read the policy, get it?
Okay, and you're asking this question You're asking this question as it relates to a catastrophe benefits?
Yes, yes. Is there anything else that we should know? If the policy covers anything else that we might not really know off the bat that is in the policy?
Sure. So in the event of a catastrophe, there are two additional benefits that I could highlight. One is for the spoilage of food in your fridge. So yes, most policies do carry that where you get a certain amount, a sum insured or payout based on your policy limit for spoilage of food. So in the event, you have lost electricity and you have food in your fridge, then you can get a payout up to the limit of your policy. The other benefit is also for your property title. Most of us keep our important documents at home in plastic bags, suitcase, you name it, under our mattress, wherever we keep it. In the event that your property title is lost, your policy does give you coverage to help with the replacement cost. Or even if it's damaged and it could be waterlogged and you still have it, but you want to replace it, your policy does give you coverage up to the limit that is in your policy. So those are two benefits that would benefit uninsured in the event of a catastrophe and they want to make those claims on their insurance policy.
Amazing. I didn't know that would cover spoiled food. So that's something good to know. And there you have it, guys. It's very important to have your home insurance. It's important to value it so that you're not shortchanging yourself when it comes to insuring the property. And make sure you read the policy, in its entirety so that you understand what you're signing up for.
Totally agree with you. So what I would say is that when you go to purchase insurance, make sure to speak to your broker representative or your customer care representative or your agent to ensure that they explain to you the terms and conditions of the policy and you know what you're purchasing. So that way you can manage your expectations in the event that you have a claim. But insurance is absolutely very essential and an important way of managing your exposure in the event of an insured peril operating. So we're in hurricane season. I would say to you, if you have your home please make sure you get insurance. And one final point, you don't have to own the house to have insurance. If you rent the property and you have your contents there, you can get contents insurance, because in the event that the roof is lost or there's damage as a result of the hurricane, then your contents would be covered. So whilst we would not cover the property because you don't own it, we would cover your contents up to your sum insured. So it's very important that you consider insurance as a way of managing your financial exposure in the event of a catastrophe.